The meeting last week on the fundraiser. Any updates on that? Call for any volunteers? Call for you to finish chewing?
Not ready to make any announcements yet?
Okay.
We will do that at the, how about we do that at the first quarterly club meeting?
Very good, very good. We'll hold off until club assembly on that. All right. Last week after the meeting, we had our board meeting for the month. We were able to approve the club and foundation budgets, so that's good. We've got that done. We also are going to be able to support our small grants that the club members apply for on behalf of other groups that they work with. We're going to be able to do $10,000 again this year, and Chip will be in touch with Chip Person will be in touch with you guys a little bit later on what that grant process will look like. But we're looking at something in the late summer, early fall to get those moving.
I'll probably get the grant request forms out in the next week or two.
All right, very good.
I'm trying to wrap it up by the end of September and actually make grants in the fall.
All right, good deal. And then we have, again, I know it's a broken record topic, but I know somebody won't remember if we don't keep announcing it. August 11th, we are going to be meeting at the Proximity. I will be meeting at the beach, and Ralph will be taking care of the meeting on August 11th. So that'll be the plan over at the Proximity. Buster, you got any happy dollars?
I see one, Cooper. I'm gonna just sit here, Cooper. Give that.
I want to thank Beth Sheffield for allowing me to do her hardwood floors. And she's got a beautiful new home, and I hope you're happy there. I hope you get to move quick. Thank you.
Well, I got happy dollars. This one is for Cooper Trotter. Yeah, I physically moved all of my furniture to my new house yesterday. Yesterday, and the floors look just amazing. Thanks to Cooper. I did the whole downstairs and hardwoods, and got them all redone. It's beautiful. And then this is for Kelly, because Kelly's wife, Kelly, helped me pick out the paint color in the kitchen, which isn't finished yet, which is almost done. But
I told her which colors to go with.
Thank you. I can't wait.
Like Buster's shirt color.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
This is for my friend Mike Conrad. Got to attend a great reception for him at Carol's house Thursday night. Thursday, what day is it? Tuesday night. And for his retirement from JDRF, and just the tributes that were there and the people that were there and the sentiments that were shared were incredible. So Marley absolutely knocked it out of the ballpark with his top 10 list of Mike-isms, which I wish I could share with you, but maybe you can get a recording of it. It was absolutely hilarious. But just hats off to Mike for all that he's done for JDRF and this club and just the person that he is. Mike,
Very nice. Chip. Well, we got lucky this weekend. Wilder came home from his excursion to Canada in the Great Northwest. He was doing it at 12:20 Sunday morning. And fortunately, he got delayed in Dallas and didn't arrive until 3. But he called us so we didn't have to drive to Raleigh at 3 a.m. because one of his fraternity brothers had a pledge in town and made him pick him up. I just had to show up Sunday afternoon and all done.
pledges are for.
Oh, go ahead.
I've got happy dollars. My son just got engaged last week. So.
All right. Bobby C.
Just spent the last 4 days in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. World's biggest flying air show, 10,000 airplanes. It was unreal. I'm out of money.
We just got back from New Orleans last week, National Convention, and I learned a lot. It was a great convention.
What kind of convention?
For PIP, it was our business convention.
Cool. Well, Grandpappy Lewis, when he first got married, he found this book. It's called How to Be the Master of Your House. So he read this book and he came down in the morning and young grandma was in the kitchen, and he said, I tell you the way things are gonna be around here. He said, when I get home tonight, I want a stiff drink and my easy chair and slippers. He said, then I want to sit down to a gourmet meal, and afterwards, I want you to rub my feet, and while I sit in my chair and smoke my pipe. He said, then tonight, you know. He said, and who do you think is going to dress me and comb my hair in the morning? And Grandma said, well, my first guess would be the funeral director.
All right, Ralph, you want to introduce the guest speaker, please?
Absolutely. We've got a local boy here today. He is, our guest today is Phelps Sprinkle. He is Peacehaven's Director of Business Development. In his role, Phelps leads group initiatives that expand Peacehaven's impact with broadening the community's understanding of inclusivity and disabilities. Phelps is a graduate of the other school, and that's paid across the tracks, in Davidson College. Prior to joining Peacehaven, Phelps co-founded and served 17 years as CEO of Topics Education Group, a strategic communications firm in Charlotte, North Carolina. That was named Entrepreneur of the Year in 2006 by the Charlotte Chamber. Most recently, Phelps served 2 years as an Executive Vice President at Easter Seals UCP in Raleigh, North Carolina, a $90 million nonprofit serving people with disabilities and mental health challenges across North Carolina and Virginia. Phelps and his family live in Greensboro, where both he and his wife Kate grew up. They have 3 children, and their oldest 13-year-old Roxy has significant development disabilities. His family experiences with Roxy have been profoundly positive impact on his vocational focus, partnering choices, and leadership styles. Please welcome Phelps.
Hey everybody, I appreciate you guys having me here. I've been to a couple of Rotary meetings and other places in Charlotte where I lived, and I'm really glad to be asked to come here and talk about Peacehaven. I always love to talk about where I work. Oh, a password. Yeah, I'm not going to give you yet. It's going to out loud.
Nope.
There we go. I brought a little video to introduce you a little bit to what we do, and then I'll talk a little bit more about it and see if you guys have any questions for me. Typically, we have what we're trying to do is housing for people with disabilities in a different way than you typically see in a group home. So we have more of a family style where you have 4 people with disabilities living in a home with 4 people who don't have disabilities. Those 4 people who don't have disabilities are paid a stipend, but basically it's a volunteer role. They've chosen to experience a year or 2 of their life, typically right out of college. We see it as kind of a leadership development role for young people coming out of college, kind of like AmeriCorps or Peace Corps, but they're living in a home with people with disabilities. And I'll tell you more about that model. One of our Corps members is named Jake Taylor, and a lot of times we'll bring a Corps member with us so you can meet some of the folks who live at Peacehaven, but we weren't able to get him here this early. He's not an early riser. And we're out in Whitsett too, so it would have been a long way for them to come. So I brought a video to kind of introduce you to him and a little bit more about what we do before I talk about it.
We'd like for you to meet Jake Taylor, one of the new Corps members living in Susan's View. Jake is 31 years old, and he's lived at home with his mom and grandmother his entire life. Living in his new home at Susan's View will be the first time he has lived away from home. Jake loves puzzles, fishing, and all things camouflage. He is tender-hearted and loves being a part of the Peacehaven family because of the closeness he feels to those around him.
Man, I love it here, man. This is like a new home. I love it, you know. Every day I keep on learning more and more stuff.
Jake looks forward to making new Christmas memories with his new Peacehaven family. Lights are his absolute favorite decoration. He has been responsible for the outside lighting at his home growing up, and he brought those lights to share at Peacehaven. Living with this kind of family on a farm has been a dream of Jake's mom since he was a child.
I used to just, in frustration, just go, I can't, they're just a farm. A farm would be good, somewhere where my boy can just be himself, be accepted for who he is, and enjoy his life. You know, and God laid a farm right there here in front of us, brought us here. He didn't put it in front of us, he got me out here. So Jake could have a home. And I think the reason I have not shed any tears yet is because I know it's the right thing. It's the right thing.
Making dreams come true, celebrating new family Christmas traditions, giving thanks for our new family at Peacehaven, and giving thanks for you. Because without you, a farm for Jake just wouldn't be possible. We are truly grateful to you and the many dreams that are coming true from the seeds you have planted with Peacehaven.
Merry Christmas.
Thanks, Chris. So that was obviously a Christmas video we did last year as part of our Seeds of Hope, which is our annual fund campaign. We did a series of videos introducing folks to the different folks who live there. Jake is a fishing buddy of mine. I get to work there in a business development type role, but I also get to go fishing with him, and he teaches me a lot about fishing because he grew up fishing and I didn't. The funny thing is, actually, last night, this is a true story, I wasn't planning to talk about it, but I had a dream, and in my dream, I was in the back seat of a car and with my kids, and I'm looking in the front, and I see my wife up there with him, and I assume she's driving, and I look up there, and there's Jake driving my car. And my kids are in the back, and my wife's right there, and Jake doesn't have a license, he doesn't drive. And it was funny, because my first reaction was want to panic, and then I realized he was driving fine, he was doing great. And I thought I'd tell that story, because a big part of what we're trying to do is, as a society, we tend to protect people with disabilities. We want to keep them safe. A lot of the laws that we have around disability and group homes and places like that, there's a lot of legal and compliance type stuff you have to do to make sure people stay safe. But what we really believe very strongly is that we need to have this dignity of risk that we all have. We have these choices we can make. We're given the opportunity to fail. So what we try to do with our core members is give them an opportunity to grow and change, and that requires people to fail sometimes. Now, we're not going to put him behind the wheel of a car, but what we do is one of his goals is to learn how to drive, which he's told us it is. We have we call it a gator. It's like a four-wheeler, a souped-up four-wheeler that we take around the farm. We have a 90-acre piece of property, and Jake, we will let him drive slowly and drive that around and learn how to drive using that. So we do things like that that may seem a little bit risky, but we do it in a way that's very protected and safe and allow people to have an opportunity to grow differently. So let me back up and give you a little background on Peacehaven. Peacehaven was founded in 2007 by two families. You guys may have heard the name Buck and Kathy Cochran, and then Tim and Susan Elliott. Decided to found this place. They found this 90-acre piece of property out in Whitsett. If you know where the Red Oak Brewery is, we're about 1.5 miles south of that, right on Lake McIntosh. The goal was to provide permanent supportive housing for people with disabilities in a family-type environment. So this idea of inclusive communities where, like I was telling you about, in a housing environment where you don't have people who are being paid as caregivers, you have people who are there to support people with disabilities in more of a family-style environment. It's based on a model that started in France by a guy named Jean Vanier, these things called large communities, and that was the idea of living in community with people with disabilities and the benefit that you get from doing that. So we really thought we'd take that idea and have youth coming out of college and come work for a year or two living at Peacehaven. A big part of what we're doing as well is trying to find opportunities for vocational, for jobs, for our core members, as well as social activities. Toward that end, what we want to do is, we right now have farming. Farming is a big part of what we do. Sustainable agriculture is a big part of our kind of mission. We sell our produce right now in our raised bed gardens that are tended by volunteers and by the folks who live at Peacehaven. We sell to the Iron Hen and Tessa. You probably heard of Tessa. It's a new restaurant farm to table up on Battleground. And everybody knows about Iron Hen, one of our favorite spots to eat probably. So our goal is to build more houses, to build a community center where we can provide educational opportunities, lots of growth and learning opportunities, anything from pottery and yoga to sustainable agriculture classes, disability studies classes, and to build 4 more homes. So ultimately we'll have 40 people living in this 90-acre piece of property. We'll have a community center where people are coming and going, both the folks who live at Peacehaven as well as people from the community, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. And then we have a 20-acre piece of property that someone gave us recently that has, and I would say literally gave to us, we closed on that about 6 months ago, that has 19 hoop houses on it. It's got a 3-acre irrigation pond, a pump house, wells. We wanted to start a social enterprise that can one day make us 100% financially sustainable without having to allow donations and contributions. So we think that's a pretty cool thing to have that opportunity to do that. At the same time, we want it to be part of our mission. So the idea would be to hire and train people with disabilities to help run that farm. There are people who are doing these kinds of things across the United States, but typically aren't putting all these pieces together. So we're beg, borrowing, and stealing from lots of people on the ideas, as well as how do we get there financially. Right now, 80% of our revenue is donations, contributions, grants. About 20% is earned income. That's rent from people who live at Peacehaven. That is selling of our products, our food, and then selling fiber arts products that we create. So we have a really neat fiber arts program that doesn't bring up a lot of revenue right now, but we sell branded products with that are tied to wool, and we dye that. We put it around soaps, and we put it around dryer balls and all kinds of things like that. We sell on the holidays and other times. A big part of what we do is the partnerships we have. We couldn't do what we do without partnerships, and I don't just mean contributions and financial, but a huge number of volunteers come out to visit with us each year. I think we had 1,300 volunteers come out last year. It's an amazing amount of volunteer hours. So we have Saturday work days where we have anywhere from 30 to 50 people coming out who come out in all shapes and sizes, come out and work in our gardens. It might be weeding, it might be harvesting food, and it might be painting a shed. It might be cleaning chicken poop out of a chicken house. So it doesn't sound very glorious, but it's a lot of fun. We have a potluck lunch at the end of that. So it's a really neat experience. We come out at 9, in by 12, and then have this potluck lunch, which is not a requirement to bring food, but we encourage people to. And then we have Wednesday work days for groups that like to do it during the week, you know, like corporate groups or civic groups where they want to do volunteer activities. CBRE has come out, for example, on a Wednesday with their team and does some really neat stuff. Another piece of the partnership puzzle is the program side. So when we have 8 people living at Peacehaven, none of whom have really lived very much of their life, if any of their life, away from home. You know, you saw Jake, for example. You have a very different environment, so you need support on how you're going to handle challenges of communication and all these different things. I mean, I know when I went to college as a freshman, it was not pretty that freshman year with my new roommate. But, you know, we have a relationship with UNCG's Department of Social Work, so we've developed a really strong relationship with that department. They come out regularly. They work with our core members one-on-one. They work with our staff on how to communicate, on how to resolve conflict. And as we grow and build this community center, which is our next big thing we're trying to do, we're exploring the idea of a capital campaign right now. We're talking about a 5,000-6,000 square foot space that we have classrooms, multi-purpose room. One of the really neat things about that is we want to host UNCG's Department of Social Work has field study students who are going to be coming out and visiting with us, and we want to do classes on disability studies. So their students and folks that live at Peacehaven, other people in the community with disabilities can come and take classes at Peacehaven in our community center and learn about disability studies. They might find out a little bit more about what we do. They might find out more about sustainable agriculture and get involved in that too. So we're doing a lot of type of things like that, and we're really excited about it. What questions do you guys have for me? Probably a lot. Yeah.
You have young college graduates come and spend about a year there, living in the homes. What did they say is the biggest impact, or what did they walk away with after that year? How does that impact their lives and their ability to relate maybe on a different level than when they arrive?
It's profound, I think. You know, it depends on the individual, obviously. We just got started 2 years ago, so we've had one person come all the way through, and the rest have stayed 2 years. So we have 3 people rolling off in August, so in about a month. A whole new group of people coming in. The one person who left us about a year ago, she's been with us for a year, had some really profound things to say about her experience. It was, I think she came in really, you know, kind of just taking a risk, not knowing what she was going to experience. She'd grown up, I think, not having a whole lot of experience with people with disabilities, but kind of felt like this was something she wanted to do. If you've ever met Buck Cochran, who is our executive director and one of the co-founders, he's very good at kind of helping people kind of see that possibility. And I think he does that really well with recruiting RAs. So when she left, she had a very much more understanding of what it means to be human, what the similarities we have are more common than the differences we have, which is a big part of what we're really trying to get is we really think of our RA program as important as the thing we do for Corps members, because these are folks who are going to go out into the world and do things, be investment bankers or teachers or artists, whatever they might do, they're going to have this kind of experience that they'll kind of fall back on, which is we think, a very strong piece of kind of celebrating the fact that we all have these differences, but it all makes us human. So.
You said you built one home on the site so far. What's the structure of the home? Like, what's it look like?
It's 2 stories. We have 7 bedrooms. 8 people live there. 4 have intellectual developmental disabilities. And I should distinguish that between physical disabilities, but intellectual and developmental disabilities is the type of disability we typically are working with. Now, they might have physical disabilities too, but primarily intellectual and developmental. That tends to be lagging behind when it comes to rights and responsibilities and what society kind of integrate people in. I mean, you see Braille, you see wide doorways, you see ramps, which are wonderful. It creates a lot more accessibility for people with disabilities, especially physical disabilities, but intellectual, you're not seeing quite as much of that. We're trying to find a way to help people realize that that's an important piece. When you walk into the home, and we'd love to have anybody come visit, obviously we give you a tour at any point, but we have a big open common area. It's got a big family style table. It was actually built by some Habitat volunteers with wood donated from a guy who has a wood mill. So it's got this family style kind of country table. Everything's accessible, so you have lower countertops, you have cutaways underneath the sinks, so you can get to and roll underneath them if you're in a wheelchair. We've got common laundry room with 2 washers, 2 dryers. We've got 3 refrigerators, a guest bathroom, but everybody has their own room and own bathroom. If you want to go into their room, you have to ask permission, or it's just like it's their home. That's one of the things that what's really interesting is we're not trying to be, our long-term goal is not to scale this up and go buy a bunch of property and do this over and over and over. What we want to do is be a model for how other people can use it. So I use the term open source. We're trying to create down to the last, not just the people side, not just how we've structured these homes, how we build the homes, how they're designed, and we're trying to learn. So as we build more homes, we'll be doing those better. I think we'll design them so they work better for whoever the population that lives there is. But also the financial model. If we can create a financial model that kind of works, it can be sustainable. We have all of our power is met by solar panels. So all of our power needs are met by solar panels. We just added a new solar array that allowed us to be 100% off the grid. I shouldn't say 100% off the grid, but most of the time 100% off the grid. And that's for our barn, where my office is in a hayloft of a barn that we have central air in now. And we have a trailer, and then we have a greenhouse, a bunch of outdoor stuff that we grow, and in the home. But the financial model too. So how can we do innovative stuff in the disability space, both the people side and the financial administrative side?
What's a day look like for the residents?
It depends on the resident. So one of the things we're really trying to do is give the individual the opportunity to choose how they spend their day. So a lot of times in a group home, you'll see folks, they'll go into the group en masse to some place, and because it's from a feasibility standpoint, it's hard to customize for that in each individual. Jake, who you met, works at Burger King. We did that through a partnership with Vocational Rehab. He loves his job. He loves the fact that he gets a paycheck every week. So he works at Burger King three days a week. They all go swimming together at the Y, because they all love to go swimming. They actually swam in Special Olympics in Raleigh a couple months ago and won a bunch of awards. Jeff works at Twin Lakes Retirement Home in Burlington. He also is a graduate of Beyond Academics program at UNCG. Which is a really neat four-year certificate program where people with intellectual and developmental disabilities get the same experiences as a typical college student does. They get a certificate at the end, not a degree, but other than that, it's pretty much the same experience. Molly last year was a assistant teacher in a preschool. During the day, she loves to go swing outside in in our playground we have. She loves to swing. She loves to also take care of the goats. We have 2 goats. They're fainting goats, so they're not producing milk yet, but they're pretty fun. And likes to do gardening. She likes to work in the garden and do other things like that. So every day's a little bit different, but it's always, there's a lot of routine there. So if you walk in, there's a big blackboard. There's schedules, and the schedule is color-coded. The schedule has pictures, so it's more obvious what it is we're doing that day, so each person knows what they're going to be doing. It says who's the director on call, so I'm one of our directors. We have several directors. And we rotate. Even though I'm not on the program side, I still am. That's really cool part about my job is everybody who works there is really involved. So I'm not like over in this office on a different location. I'm working in the hayloft of a barn 100 yards away from our mission. So I'll go have lunch up there. I'll go fishing with Jake. I'll be on call that week, which means if there's a crisis of some kind, I'm the person that gets called, not Buck Cochran every time. You know, so he doesn't have to always be on call. So that's kind of a neat piece about it too.
What is the family cost to the residents?
Well, we have a tiered structure. So the RAs, the resident assistants, they do not pay. They're actually a AmeriCorps. Up until this year, we were using AmeriCorps as our vehicle for that. We're actually creating our own training program now, and not using the AmeriCorps model, but it's basically the same type thing. The 4 residents who live there are paying a tiered structure. So what we're trying to do is have a diversity of socioeconomic backgrounds. So one person may pay full rental rate, one person pays 75%, 150, 125%. So everybody's paying something, but it depends on what the individual is. And we think that's sustainable partly because, again, we have all our energy needs being met. We have 40 to 50% of our nutritional needs coming from the farm, the food that we grow there. The stuff that we don't sell is going to, first and foremost, is going to the house, to Susan's view. And then our cost structure for our labor model, you know, we have people who are basically getting a stipend to work there. They're mostly volunteering. So the rest of it goes to pay, you know, people like me, my salary, for us to raise money.
Well, it's very impressive that you're going to become self-sustaining. I think that's really neat. With a nonprofit, you don't see that happen a lot. What's your timeline on that?
To get to 100%, I would say it's probably more like 5 years, but that could happen a lot faster. Our priorities right now, the board just approved the community center as our top priority. We're looking at the idea of doing a capital campaign where we raise money for the community center and the next 2 homes at the same time. But the community center is a key piece of that, because right now, when we want to do something as a group, we either have to do it in Susan's View, which is where they live, or we do it in the barn, which is pretty much outside. I mean, my offices are upstairs, we have a conference room up there, but that's not really big enough space to do a lot of activities. So we have a weeding program, we have pottery, do all kinds of stuff, both with our core members, as well as people who come visit the farm, but outside. So we really need inside space, and that also allows us to, our goals for that community center are really to be a community center for the 40 people who are going to live out there eventually, a place where they can gather and meet, have meals, fellowship. Second would be programming, have classes like I was talking about, disability studies, sustainable agriculture type classes. And the third would be truly just a revenue stream, events. So we would host corporate teams. So Pfizer might have a sales team that wants to come and meet. We're really well located. We're in this nice kind of college setting between Raleigh and Charlotte and Greensboro and Winston-Salem. We've talked to some catering groups who really think that we're really well positioned in that space, so we're exploring that. I'm actually leading a business plan development for the next 3 months. So we're not just looking at how do we raise money, but how do we make it sustainable? And we think we're trying, our goal with the community center is to break even. So can we create a programming model that brings in as much as we're having to spend? And part of that will also be, we think we can do a lot of that with volunteers. If you look at Ronald McDonald houses, if you look at hospice, if you look at all these groups that use volunteers and have really strong training backgrounds, that's what we want to have at Peacehaven too, so that our cost model is a lot lower. And then with the 20-acre piece of property, that's the kind of thing where, because we have to focus, you know, we can't just do all these things at once. It'd be great if, you know, somebody came out of the blue and said, hey, you know what, we want to lease that space from you for now, because we want to vertically integrate, you know, say some restaurant group want to do this. We want to vertically integrate our food system, and we want to provide our own food from our own property. We'll lease your space from you for the next few years. While you do this other stuff, we'll give you a percentage of it back. You can learn alongside us. We can maybe even have a training program for people with disabilities, and then we might take that and grow that in the long term ourselves. So those are all possibilities, but so it could happen sooner, but probably no later. 3 or 5 years after that.
Phelps,
Yeah.
Dynamite website and
Oh, thank you.
Pinterest page, they really do a great job of telling the story. Curious who keeps that up and feeds into it, and do the core members, what do they think of it, and do they have interaction with social media aspects of Peacehaven?
Yeah. Well, Melinda Billings, Steve, I don't know if anybody, I know some people know Steve, and Melinda Billings, I know Chris does. Melinda Billings is, she was at United Guarantee for a while, and several of our employees were actually. She keeps up the website, so I'll make sure she knows that. We don't have any core members who are interested in that per se. I would say that Jeff Bagari, who's our Beyond Academics graduate, he's very interested in social media. If you let him go, he would be on a computer all day, every day. And as we talked to him about his goals and his parents about their goals, one of the things has been, let's not have him on social media or on the internet all the time. And so we limit that to about a day, an hour a day. But he loves to connect with people on Facebook. He spends a lot of time posting stuff. We repost his stuff on Facebook's page, on our Peacehaven page as well. But so, just like you guys know, with this, the new world we're living in, and we're trying to attract millennials, right, too. Those are the people who are coming in and working in our RA program and coming to volunteer a lot for us. So social media is a big part of our communication strategy. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
What's the, like for Jake, is his goal to be there for a couple of years? Is it sort of open-ended? What's the process?
We call it permanent supportive housing. So as long as he wants to live there, he'll live there. That means he'll, if that's what he wants to be and his family wants him to stay there, he'll die there. We have talked to other communities who have done this type of stuff. I'm actually going to be visiting one in D.C. In about 3 weeks. There's one in Charlottesville, Virginia called Innisfree. There's these large communities that are all over the country, but one of the closest one's in D.C. And we've talked to people at these places about that process, but it's like a family. It's like it's a family environment. The 4 folks who live there, they'll probably all 4 live there the rest of their days.
What kind of medical needs do your residents have? How do you provide those?
Well, right now, in our first home, we chose folks who didn't have, they weren't medically fragile in any way. They didn't have any other medical kind of conditions than the rest of us do, other than maybe, a lot of times with intellectual developmental disabilities, you'll see some mental illness, mental health type stuff that the general population deals with, but you tend to see it higher. You see a lot of dual diagnosis, they call it, people with mental health challenges as well as disabilities. We do not have a nurse on staff. We do have people who are trained in CPR and any kind of emergency type stuff, and we've got people's doctors, and we know exactly who they are and where they should go if something were to happen. But as we grow, one of the things we really want to do is, again, we're trying to be a model, so we don't want to just, we could provide hundreds of homes and still not meet the need. There's 11,000 people in Guilford County with adults with intellectual and developmental disability. But what we can do is try to be a model for folks, and so that means not having every home have the same type of population. And ultimately, I'd love to have some people who are medically fragile, who may be nonverbal, who most people look at and think, be afraid to try to interact with, because I don't know that person. They seem very different from me. We'd love to have that range of folks who live there, and so if we do that, it's going to be a different model for the next home, or the next home, and the next home. So we can't do a cookie cutter approach. So it will be a little bit different. But yeah, that would require some. We were just visiting the Carolina Learning and Living Center in Pittsburgh. If anybody's heard of that, it's a part of the TEACH program focused on autism. They have 15 adults who live there. A lot of what they're doing is similar to what we're doing. But we were talking to them, and they have a lot of challenges with making sure that shoot, I lost my train of thought. What was I talking about? Anyway, medical, sorry. So they had a nurse on staff, and the person who was with me, specifically, was actually Melinda, said, we got to get a nurse when we get more people here. So we'll have a full-time nurse that we built into that.
Phelps, thanks for what you did.
Thank you all very much.
A book in your honor. honor to put an elementary, small gesture, but thanks so much for coming out. And,
That's huge.
We'll look forward to an update one day.
Thank you. Can I mention two other things? I just want, we have 2 dates coming up. We have a Harvest Festival on October 23rd. It's a celebration where people come out and learn about the farm. We have live music, a food truck, all kinds of fun activities for families. So if you ever want to do that, come out and visit on October 23rd. Any Saturday work day, you can go to our website and sign up to volunteer. And then we have a farm walk where we raise money for the program, for an event out at the farm where people walk through the woods, and that's in April. So let me
Push
know.
that out to Ralph on email, and we'll get it out to the public.
And I've got some cards here if anybody wants one. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, thanks so much. We have one more duty for you, if you will pull a ticket.
All right.
See if Mike can pull the Queen of Hearts.